Immigration debate continues to be one of main focal points in this election year. The latest Marquette Law School poll shows it as the second most important issue among Wisconsin voters that were surveyed. But like all issues, it's one that goes beyond the talking points. And in a News 19's exclusive, Dustin Lukey joins us now with a story that puts this hot button issue into a more personal perspective, right?
That's right, Heather. It's often difficult to put the faces and stories to the immigration situation, a crisis that saw more than 2.4 million encounters. A number of those with the same people, keep in mind, by Customs and Border Protection agents in the last fiscal year. The fact is, more and more people are still trying to come to this country from all walks of life, and each one is just a person like you, me, or Jason and Tina Gerke, who found out firsthand the realities that so many are facing.
When it is.
With each stroke of his pen, Jason Gerke creates a connection.
You get to put a smile on somebody's face, and you get to connect to their story.
You may know Jason's work as a caricature artist. You might even have one hanging up in your own home.
You become a little chapter in their own story.
Now, this picture comes from a chapter in Jason and his wife Tina's own story that started, like many Midwest adventures do, at a quick trip in Tomah. So let's back.
Easter Day, getting gas.
For our daughter.
At that moment, Jason and Tina weren't thinking about the flood of people seeking asylum in this country. At least 1.1 million who have asylum status cases pending. But right then, at Pump 18, the immigration issue became personal.
One of the boys approached me and was kind of asking for help because we had just seen that the tow truck had dropped their car off.
Jason tried to jump the car for these 4 young people from Venezuela who broke down on their way to meet family in Wyoming after spending the past 5 months in Chicago.
And they're just kids. They're 18, 19-year-old kids. They're scared. They're in the middle of cold Wisconsin, not knowing where to go.
With a language barrier to boot.
A lot of our conversations were through Google Translate.
Passing the phone back and forth.
Yeah.
And a car that just wouldn't start.
There was tears.
Yeah, a lot of tears. The girls were crying.
They didn't know what they were going to do.
At that point, Tina suggested to Jason that they do what she hopes anyone would do for her own kids if they were stranded.
So that's what we did. We went back and said, hey, come back to our house tonight, and
then they cried more.
Those tears were quickly replaced by fears when they arrived at Jason and Tina's Mauston home.
The introduction to Louis, they were a little apprehensive because we had explained that Louis is very untrusting with people, and he has the tendency to nip when I come in the house and I let him off the leash, and they just were like petrified.
They were more scared than he was.
Yeah.
But the border collie, a rescue himself, recognized that these tired young travelers just needed a break.
He couldn't find his ball, so what does he do? He goes and grabs a scented pine cone off the end table and tosses it to him. And then I think right there, they're like, oh, he just wants to play.
A new companion, a place to rest, and warm clothing. Jason and Tina had already given a great deal to 4 strangers from more than 6,000 miles away. It was at breakfast the next morning, however, when they would give something priceless.
When we were sitting at the table, then their moms, the girls' mom called from Venezuela. And then you could just see the sadness again and the worry. And, so I was like, yeah, I think you should draw their picture.
Yeah, just doing the caricatures, that brought smiles to their faces. You didn't have to say anything.
I think they needed something to smile about.
So too did Tina and Jason with another trying day ahead. They say they reached out to some agencies in the area, but no one at that time could offer help. And as the likenesses on paper began to take shape, so too did the path forward, taking them back to Tomah, where the owner of the restaurant across the street from the Quick Trip illustrated his character.
Eduardo over at Cancun Restaurant, he's amazing. He was swamped busy in there, and he'd come out, cold weather, he's out in his t-shirt, and he's helping us with the battery in the car. Appreciate everything he did. He took him in, gave him a pretty good meal, hot meal.
But with the car not going anywhere, Jason and Tina, running on fumes themselves, were more determined than ever.
I got all teary-eyed because I'm looking back at these kids and I'm thinking, we have to get them to where they got to go.
Mm-hmm.
Contemplating a drive to Wyoming themselves, the Gerkes ultimately used their hard-earned money to buy 4 bus tickets. And in the early morning hours that Tuesday, they made sure their new extended family members from Venezuela were safely on board, with the caricatures securely in hand.
That was a good moment when they got on the bus and got the hugs and tears, a little bit. I was a little teary-eyed, I ain't gonna lie.
An unlikely adventure that began by happenstance.
The boys and the girls felt like we were put there for them, and I kind of felt like, you know, they were put there for us.
Took shape because of a shared humanity.
I'm glad we could do that for them. You know, they could see that things can work out even at the worst.
And forever left its mark on all of their lives.
And you're likely wondering, as Jason and Tina were, whether their Venezuelan friends made it to where they needed to go. Well, Tina says they actually sent them a text message right away saying they were safely there in Wyoming. And they even asked how Louie, the border collie, was doing. And Heather, I'd be remiss if I didn't wish this couple who gives so much love a very happy anniversary today, or Feliz Aniversario, as they would say in Venezuela. And thanks as well to their Uncle Steve and Toma for bringing this story to my attention.
All right, thank you, Dustin. I love when our viewers let us know about a good story that we should share, because you can never have enough good news. All right, thanks again. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Jason's work, he's known as the Doodler, and we have a link to his page on our website, WXOW.com.